and proud, dear. Absolutely. Good morning.
Good morning.
And we also welcome our viewing audience, and we acknowledge that nothing happens by chance, that this morning we have a divine appointment, and that we heard the call and we answered it because it felt right. And this week we've been talking about the infinite supply, and the month's theme has been the success paradigm, because we believe in the principles of successful living. This is what we teach. We know where thought goes, energy flows. As cliche as that sounds these days, it is the truth. It's a dynamic law of the universe. And when we begin to put the works with the faith, and we begin to acknowledge the power that is within us to transform the routines of work into celebrations of life and love, it's a choice. It's an absolute choice that we have. And these universal principles of life cause and effect. The law of attraction, the law of mental equivalence, the law of correspondence always comes back to the person that's putting out the energy. Where thought goes, energy flows. As within, so without. As above, so below. And as we begin to acknowledge this and begin to embody it at a new level, we will see some dynamic changes in our own life. Many of us have experienced those moments of absolute oneness where we knew that we knew that we knew. Now, when Buddha talked about life is like hands clapping, it's like, I've got it. I'll never lose it. I know who I am. I know this day in whom I live and move and have my being. I feel the one-ment with all of life. And what he said about life being like hands clapping is, I've got it. I don't. I've got it. I don't. I've got it. I don't. Where'd it go? I got it. I got it. Oh, thank God I got it. Oh, it's gone. But what happens is, when we are serious about our consciousness, our growth, our evolution, that we have it a lot more than we don't. All of us have been thrown. All of us have felt like the universal rug of life has been pulled out from under us. And what I know is that when I have felt that the rug has been pulled out from under me, I always land on higher ground. And what happens is the breakdown for the breakthrough, it's a falling apart so it can fall together at a much higher level. Now, I have a Facebook friend who happened to be the daughter of Reverend Ann Martin, who came out here for a reunion, a high school reunion in Hollywood. And she wanted to meet me because we were Facebook friends. And so we met, we had lunch, and she's just a precious person. And so we've been continuing this correspondence. And she lives in Colorado, and she said, you know, I want to complete my renovation project. She adopted 2 girls. She went to the Orient for one and to another Far East country for another, and they told her her child would be 20,000, and she got attached to her, and suddenly she's 40,000. You know, those kinds of experiences, and got her children, and loves these girls, have adopted these girls. And she wanted to transform the basement. She lives in a 3-story house in Colorado. Wanted to transform the basement into an art studio, and she ran out of money. And it's interesting that when Moses wandered in the wilderness, he had his staff of life, and Jehovah said that every single day the manna will be there for you. You just need to know that all your needs for that day will be there. The daily manna, our daily bread. And as they wandered in the universe and they got thirsty, he was told by Jehovah to just tap on that stone, and water would flow forth. That all your needs for the day will be met. And what I love about the story of Moses and the manna and the water that flows freely is that Moses had to surrender everything. He had to absolutely surrender all the presuppositions and all the thoughts and all, the energy, that he'd never done it that way before. But he had a pretty good amount of faith after the Egyptians were after them, and they came upon the Red Sea. And Jehovah said, every man, woman, and child must immerse themselves before it will part. In other words, I need a whole commitment here. Every man, woman, and child. And guess what? When we jump into the sea of life and we commit ourselves, all of our Red Seas miraculously part, because we have the faith as a grain of mustard seed, and we say to this mountain, to this Red Sea, to this obstacle, to this problem, to this grief, to this situation, remove hence. And it does, because with God, all things are possible. So she said she was remembering about gather your manna. So she said, I wanted to raise money to finish my renovation. So I began going through drawers and closets and going through things, and I got a little baggie out, and I, had like one earring here and a broken necklace there, and I had some other stuff, and I was filling up that baggie with gold, old jewelry that I never wear anymore. And I'm taking it to my jeweler, who I trust. She took it to her jeweler. She said, you'll never guess. He gave me $9,300 for my baggie of gold. Now, I started out with nothing but an idea that I want to finish the renovation on the basement for my girls. And she said, and then it just really inspired me. I started going through other things. And she says, gold's going up, so I'm going to hold off, when I'm ready for the other part of it. That our daily manna, give us this day our daily bread. To have the faith and the knowingness that it is there for us. To have the faith and the knowingness that whatever shows up in our body, that there is an energy of the universe greater than we are, and we can call on it at a DNA cellular level. And my affirmation is I am perfect, complete, and whole, no matter what is being expressed at this moment. That I am moving through this situation, this appearance, this condition, this effect. That with God, all things are possible. That give us this day our daily manna. Give us the opportunity to see through these things as they come up. Give us the willingness to call our creditors if we need to. And to know that there's only going to be understanding. That each and every one of us goes through this earth walk with the experiences. That we do not buy into what the economy is. That energetically, there is a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and as we are using it, our daily life becomes our temple and religion, and we begin to open up the doors that were never opened before because we see them as opened. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man, woman hear my voice, let them answer, and I will come into them and sup with them, and they with me. The door opens from within. The heart is the doorway to the soul. And if we really know this day in whom we live and move and have our being, that as these things show up in our lives, that we have the willingness to keep our peace, to keep that place inside of us. There's the cyclones and the hurricanes of life. But at the center, the eye of the hurricane, is that place of absolute calm and knowingness. There are things that could throw us off at any minute, but I have my perfect peace. My mind is stayed on thee. My mind is stayed on what's working in my life, my daily life. The practical application of these universal laws is knowing that sometimes we don't know where it's going to come from. But we start going through the drawers of life. We start stimulating ourselves. Realizing that we are the creative outlet of the universe. We are co-creators with God. With God, all things are possible. And when we really understand that, and we really get that, we go within. My little grandson will be 2 next Sunday. And when he gets into one of his little things, my daughter just says, let's breathe. Let's breathe. Feel that breath. And he goes, he said, you're going to be 2, and he's holding it, and he's just letting it go. And she goes, let's just breathe. And I said, this is such a wonderful opportunity to realize that when I start to get upset, because he went into one of his little screams, he went, she goes, that really doesn't work for me. What works for me is breathing. So they went into the breathing exercise, and you could just see his little wheels turning. That didn't work. That scream didn't work. That tantrum didn't work. What works is I am in perfect peace, and my mind is stayed on thee. And no matter what comes up in my energy field today, God and I are the majority. That we can handle this together. I of myself can do nothing. It's the power and the energy of the universe within me that does the work. And when we get that, something happens. Now, I love BBCs. And, Linda and I, we have like this BBC date where we watch these great BBCs. And she got the history of Lady Randolph Churchill, Jenny Churchill, who was Winston Churchill's mother. She was an American and married his father. And his father had a lot going on with him. And he was very high. He was a high chancellor in the exchequer in the parliament in England. And he thought, you know what? I'm going to just, I'm going to play these cards. And I want this certain position over there. And someone else is really, they're volleying for, the same position. And I'm going to quit. And they're going to come back. And they're going to beg me to come back and take that position. But guess what? He quit and they didn't. So he was out of a job. He gambled. Emerson said the dice of God are always loaded. And he lost the bet. So he always wanted to groom Winston for the position of prime minister. And Winston went off and joined the infantry, and he said, you are a buffoon, you are stupid, and get out of here, I don't want to even see your face. And he constantly derided Winston. They called him Winnie. And he was not nice to his son. But Jenny, his mother, would come and say, son, you are wonderful. I love you. I see someday you are going to be the prime minister all of England. I see it. I know it. And he'd kind of be tearful, because the dad really, derided him and really was an affront to his self-esteem. And this went on. Finally, his father passed away, and Winston went into the infantry and then, the military, and he learned from like the ground up. And what was so amazing in this man's life is that he really drew the larger circle. He drew a circle that shut me out, heretic, rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle that took him in. And on his desk, all of his life, he had a picture of his father and who he knew his father to be. And of course, very, very close to his mother, who was outrageous. She married, after he passed, she married someone 2 weeks older than Winston. And they're trying to talk their mother out of this. How's it going to look? She goes, well, they're talking about me anyway. So, I love this person, and this person loves me. And besides that, we have fun. We dance. We have a glorious time. So that marriage doesn't work out, so she marries somebody even younger than her boys to keep up with her. And she had an accident later on in life, and she had to have her leg amputated from the knee down. And as she woke up from the anesthetic that they never even realized she was going to wake up from, she said, oh dear, Charles will be so disappointed that I can't dance anymore. These were her words. That her infinite supply was within her. That we tap in to our infinite supply. The energy that knows that no matter how derided we've been or how really criticized by an authority figure, there is another voice that's saying, I love you. Someday you're going to be somebody, and I'm going to be right there by your side. I'm going to be cheering you on. That's the power and the presence that is within us. That's the energy that knows that it knows that it knows. I love biographies of amazing people and outrageous people that went against all, you can just imagine, all of those societal mores and customs, because people are going to be talking about you anyway. So I might as well give them something really good, really, really good. And as we live our lives, as we come to that place of knowing who we are, then life comes in, rushing in, and acknowledges, yes, my daily manna. The manna that was always there for me and always will be there for me. Sometimes it looks like I'm going through the drawers. Sometimes it looks like, there's just nothing there. That my relationships aren't working. That nothing seems to be working in my life. But if we will sit down quietly, and we will align on what it is that we want in our lives, as we begin to open to love, as we begin to acknowledge at the deepest level that that which I am seeking is seeking me. I hear all kinds of Facebook stories where people, they come, they unite, they're in relationships, they're in friendships. It's amazing all the things that I hear and that I experience through this amazing social media, that we all want the same things. And we don't always agree with each other, but we agree to disagree. That I can respect your viewpoint, not just tolerate it, because toleration is, I just tolerated that. No, it's just unbelievable. But in our way of life, we accept. If and I say this way of life is not for everyone, because we're about taking responsibility for our life. And the twin of responsibility is freedom. Then we have the freedom to be who and what we are. When Thomas Carlyle went to his friend, James Stuart Mills, and he'd just written The French Revolution, he gave it to him and he said, read it, read it. He goes, this is my life's work. James Stuart Mills took it home, he set it on the table, and his maid came in the next day. She needed something for firewood. Oh, here's a nice little bundle. She took it. Now, they did not have Xerox machines and copy machines in the day that he wrote The French Revolution. She used it as tinder, and it burned up. James Stuart Mills went to Thomas Carlyle. He was ashen. He said, you'll never guess what happened. He told him. James Stuart Mill became depressed. He thought he never could ever recreate this. And one day he was walking down the street. He saw a mason, brick by brick by brick, building a cathedral. And he said, oh, you're laying bricks. And the man said, no, I'm building a cathedral. And he thought of this man, and as he looked out the window every day and saw, indeed, he was building a cathedral. Every single day of our lives, we take brick by brick by brick, we are building a cathedral. That cathedral is within us. That whatever we are doing at any given moment, to know that there is an energy that moves through us. Yes, the manna of life. The manna that's there for us. And he wrote a French Revolution that far surpassed the first one after being terribly depressed. We're rewriting our lives and reinventing our lives. Some of us every moment of our day. We're reinventing ourselves. But that's the beauty of our way of life, is that there is a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and we are using it. Do you believe that? Yes. Do you believe God is your source? Yes. Yes. God is our source. Let's say that. God is our source. Again, God is our source. Again, God is our source. And so it is, because we are going higher and higher and higher yet. God bless you.